Hello everyone, my name is Kier and I'm the Enterprise Coordinator for the Isle of Wight with the Solent Careers Hub. Today we are launching our new pilot of the Lunch and Learn virtual sessions. This is an opportunity for enterprise advisors, career leads and wider staff members in the educational landscape to come and find out a bit about our enterprise advisors, network, ask any questions and really just gather a bit of local labour market information around different sectors. Today we've got Steve from Kier Construction. He's the procurement lead and he'll be going through some slides. So I'm going to hand it off to him. We are recording this session, so if you want to turn off your cameras, you are more than welcome to do so. We'll then upload them onto YouTube just so other schools can use them as resources. So thank you. Steve, the floor is yours.
Right. Yeah, good afternoon. The presentation will probably last about 15 minutes and then there'll be opportunity at the end, 5 minutes of Q&A. So if you could hold on till the end to ask your questions, that would be helpful. As Kier has just introduced me, I'm the procurement lead for Kier Construction Limited, which is a national building contractor. And I'm responsible for 2 regions, and I'll come on to that further on in the slides. The picture you see is just our office in Chandler's Ford. That's our local Southampton office, where we've been in that area now for a good 10 years. But I'll continue on and explain a little bit about Kier. But first, what I do, I'm a procurement manager. I manage a team of 4 individuals who administer the subcontracts. As I said, we're a national organisation, but we're regionalised, and our company sublet all of our building works to subcontractors. We don't actually have tradesmen employed direct from us. We sublet everything. So the subcontracts account for probably about 80% of our turnover. So it's quite an important part of our business. And we've got to make sure that those subcontracts go out in really good, in a good fashion. And they should show other businesses how professional we are. It's got to be a very compact order which limits risk to our firm. So it's quite an important task getting those subcontracts out. So I'm responsible for that content. I'm also responsible for doing a detailed review of subcontract orders that are over £1 million, of which there are quite a few now because of the size of the projects we do. I've also shown in the blue there the kinds of skills that I need to carry out those roles. I think it's particularly important that people realise the skills that they've got. Those are the soft skills, not necessarily the ones that they're going to learn in GCSEs, but the soft skills that they learn when they are interacting with other people. And you can see that problem solving is propping up every time on those 3 elements. I find that I am a problem solver pretty much all day, every day in my role. Well, my journey to getting to that role, I was a pupil at Carisbrooke High School. That was my secondary education, and that's where I started. I did my A-levels there, and unfortunately, first bump in the road, only got 2 A-levels, and therefore university rejection. Fortunately, Plan B came into operation, and I was able to join Portsmouth Polytechnic, and well, it is Portsmouth University now, but it was Polytechnic then. And I joined a maths degree course, and that hit my second bump in the road. I managed to fail one of the 6 exams after the first year, and I fell out of Portsmouth Polytechnic. Plan C came into operation, and I started looking for a job. Fortunately, managed to find something on the Isle of Wight, and I joined Kier Construction as a trainee quantity surveyor, and then progressed on as a quantity surveyor, a managing quantity surveyor, and then another bump in the road when the company needed to restructure. there were redundancies, there was all sorts of disruption to the company with the recession as well. And I took up the role of procurement manager, which was vacant at the time. So that was, I've been procurement manager now for probably 6 or 7 years. And then another opportunity came up quite recently. I was an apprentice myself. I took up an apprenticeship in data analysis, which I managed to pass that last year. So it's been quite a straightforward journey in many respects, because at least it was with the same company, but went through many different transitions along the way. But it does go to show that if you do fail, you can still get up and dust yourself off and start again, and actually pick something else up and move forwards. So a little bit about Kier Construction. As I say, they're a national company. That's the UK that we cover, and it's split into regions. You can see that top region is Northern Scotland, quite a large region, but of course it's not particularly densely populated. But my regions are London and Southern, so that's the red and the pale blue, but they are quite densely populated, so there's quite a lot of work around those regions. The types of work we carry out on the left-hand side there, most of those are government-funded opportunities, which means it's quite a low-risk business in terms of the projects we do. The government is always going to be spending money on those particular elements, so there's always going to be work around. And we have been known as quite a safe pair of hands from the government. We do provide them with a very good service on schools and colleges, and we're probably one of the biggest providers for them. On the top left-hand side, that's a project which we built in London, quite a flagship project in the middle of a car park. That was a car park before, and it's now been built up as offices and residential with a bit of retail on the bottom floor. But quite a spectacular building. Bottom right, another end of the scale there's a mental health centre also in London. It varies the size of project that we do. At the bottom left, you can see how the turnover for Kier Construction is split down. 28% in education, so over a quarter of our turnover is delivering schools and colleges. You can see most of the rest is government-funded government-funded projects, commercial being quite a small section of our works. This is a slide I just put up to show you how the money builds through the company, the turnover. The Southampton office that I showed you a picture of earlier, it's just a small cog in this big engine, and I'm just going to go over some values. These are very fictitious, these values, only for demonstration purposes. So if the Southampton office turned over about 150 million, which it could well do, we've got 3 offices in Kier Construction Southern, which is the region that I'm based at. Therefore, Kier Construction Southern could be turning over something like 400 million, which is quite a significant turnover, nearly £500 million. Kier Construction Limited, which Kier Construction Southern is part of, has 8 businesses, Southern being one of them. So you can imagine how that builds up. So the turnover for Kier Construction Limited may be 2 billion any year. But Kier Group is the holding company, and it holds 4 different business streams, 4 different divisions, and that in the last financial year, the actual turnover was about 4 billion. So you can see how the numbers soon build up and how the company is split into smaller parts, so it's easier to manage the revenue as it comes through and the workload. Those 4 business divisions each have a role in Kier Group. The construction division, which I'm part of, it is the bank. Basically, we have a high turnover, large income and revenue, but very relatively low profit margin, low percentage profit margin. So that's probably going to be 3 to 4% profit margin, quite low. But it's always in credit with the bank because our terms that we agree with the client are always shorter than the terms that we agree with our subcontractors. So we've always got money coming in before we have to spend it out. Therefore, the bank balance is always in credit. Property, which is another division, they're the bank account holder, if you like. So they have a high initial cost because they have to buy land, they have to develop land before they get any return. But eventually, it's quite a high profit margin. The risk is quite high, therefore the profit margins can be quite high. So it basically borrows the money that construction create to buy land and develop it. And then in the background, we have two other parts of Kier, NRNN, which I'm going to try to remember. It's called Natural Resources, Nuclear, and I can't remember the last bit. But anyway, that and transportation, they are the engine room. So they have a steady, reliable turnover and quite a modest profit, but it's predictable, because we will let those services at a particular rate, and we know how to deliver those at that profit margin. But it provides a firm foundation for the business, and it keeps it ticking over while the other two parts of the business are making the big money. This slide is called Kier 360. On the right hand side, the graphic shows the four divisions around the bottom, and then in the dark blue you can see the full life cycle of a building. So you have to develop, design, engineer and build, and then once the building is created and handed over to the client, there's the maintenance, operation, and then after that building has come to the end of its use, then it could be a retrofit or repurpose, and then the cycle starts again. And Kier can provide the service to fulfill all of those items on that cycle. So we are kind of the one-stop shop for as a building company, and we can pick it up at any point in that cycle and continue it on. There's a few interesting facts on the left-hand side. Kier are the largest regional contractor in the UK. That means any main contractor that's divided into regions. We also have Kier Design, which fulfills a design element, and it's one of the 20 biggest design companies in the UK. So quite a big concern in its own right. Kier are UK's second biggest earning supplier to the public sector clients, so that's councils, the government, any government funded organisation. So we are quite a big supplier for the government. Kier's services cover the whole building life cycle, as I've explained on the right hand side, and all the disciplines can be easily integrated because of course we all work for the same company. We're all contributing to the same profit margin. Going into a bit more on the careers side of things, this is just a list of potential roles within Kier. On the left-hand side in the red, these are the more site-based roles at the front end, as it were, and so they would be creating and building on the site. In the middle are the support teams, which would be locally at the local office or at least in the local region. And then on the right hand side, some more support activities, which would be more of a national concern. So for instance, we would have a legal department which have several lawyers, solicitors who would advise any of the local regional companies on particular contract issues or any points of law at all. So as you can see, I mean, there's about 10,000 staff at Kier, and it's quite a spread of different possible careers. And this is probably representative of most big companies. They would all have these types of on the right hand side, these types of backup support. So in terms of advising your students, any large company is likely to be able to provide an occupation for each of them. Even to pluck something out the air, artists, people that are interested in art, it's quite a popular subject, but every big company needs artists, because anything that they produce needs to look good. Our tenders aren't just about the number, it's also about how we present ourselves, and how we as a company work. This slide is just to show the different levels that you can come into Kier for a career. The usual apprentices, apprenticeships, graduate schemes, placements, internships, and starting down the bottom as they go through their education, there's various opportunities to join Kier through their journey, through their education, along with also as a mature person coming in at a more senior level. It's quite a high demand sector. If you're thinking of a career in the construction industry, I'm sure there is something that can be found, because it's a high demand in terms of, we're always short staffed. Companies that are growing always need more staff, so it's quite a safe bet for your pupils to think about the construction industry. Well, that's the end of the presentation.
Well, Steve, if you want to play the video, and if anyone needs to go off, please do feel free to do so.
Yeah, that was a project that we built in London, in Marylebone, and when it probably spoke for itself. That's the kind of thing that you can aspire to when you join the construction industry, something as big as that, as impressive as that. And I'm sure that the individuals that were part of that project feel really proud of that, and that particular project won national awards for how it was designed, and also how. Anybody got any other questions? Want to take yourselves off mute and ask a question?
I've got a question. So do you have kind of like, so I'm Kerry, I work at St George's School, so a lot of our students are, so all of our students have an EHCP, so they've got an additional need. Some of them are have very low literacy and numeracy skills, but are really good at kind of hands-on skills, like you say. Let me take myself off mute, shall I, so you can see me. So they, like really practical learners. We do lots of things around like skills builders, like you were talking about, the soft skills, and, around communication, teamwork, problem solving. So lots of our students would love to get employment, but it is hard for them because they obviously have the additional barrier. And so it's like those real kind of base level jobs where they could be really like effective, but often are held back because they can't get a level 2 or whatever in functional skills. Do you have routes into kind of employment for like people who have kind of additional needs or don't have?
Well, I think nowadays companies are a lot more set up for that situation, and I think, yes, you're right. There's at some of the at some levels of employment in the construction industry, certainly there's opportunities. Probably not site-based stuff, but probably more in the support areas, I would have thought. And there's clearly no problem getting them to the building, to the workplace, and as long as they have the right sort of soft skills, then I'm sure that there's opportunities. I'm trying to think of. I don't actually know of many in our company that would that would fit that profile. However, I think a lot of disabilities are quite hidden anyway, so I'm not sure. I think it's certainly a possibility they could get employment in the construction industry in those support roles, though. Yeah, I think the soft skills I think are so important, and whenever I interview anybody, I'm always more interested in what they can do rather than what they have done, if you know what I mean. You know, what do they bring to the company? I mentioned the problem solving thing, and probably most of the people in my position or any of the support roles are problem solving all the time. You know, people come to them with their, you know, with something that's gone wrong, and you've got to go and try and solve it. So I think if that's a really important skill, and I don't know whether that's one that you can possibly encourage.
Yeah, we're trying all the time to encourage those. Thank you very much.
No problem. Anybody else?
Hi there, it's Danielle here.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi. Kenya, you know, you mentioned about putting this on YouTube. I think it's a really excellent example of where it would be great for parents and young people to be able to see this kind of thing, because I think it's amazing what you've done. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think if more of us businesses could do that and kind of have, you know, this available to young people, it's quite inspiring, isn't it? And you know, could get them interested in construction, etc.
Thanks.
Hi, my name's Steph, and I'm from the Lionheart School. We're the Islands People. Hello.
Hi.
We're the Islands People Referral Unit, and traditionally, a lot of my students are really interested in construction. And I just wondered what sort of whether you do any kind of workplace visits onto any of your sites or any of your offices, or whether you yourself are prepared to come into schools to actually engage with the students so that they can ask questions.
Yeah, it's, as you can imagine, it's very difficult to do visits to sites because of the safety concerns. To our workplaces, certainly, to our offices, we could arrange something. All of our offices are on the mainland, unfortunately, so it's not quite so accessible for you. I mean, there are other construction firms on the island that might be able to help with that, but certainly I can come into the school. I've already discussed with the Kier that possibility to the Lionheart. I understand that there was an interest in me doing that anyway. Coming in and talking about maths and construction and stuff. So certainly I'd be happy to visit in the future.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I'd absolutely love to welcome you to the school.
Thank you.
I was going to ask Steve if you could maybe give us a bit of an idea of what sort of sites you've worked on or have been around regionally in the past sort of 6 months to a year, whether it's here, Portsmouth or Southampton.
Yeah, I've visited a few sites recently where we're building a new mental health unit down in Bournemouth for CAMS, and that it's quite an interesting site in itself, just because of where it is. It's sort of dropped in the middle of a bunch of trees, and you would never know it was there. But beautiful surroundings. But it's quite a it's quite a difficult place to walk around and feel as if you've done something good, because it looks quite bleak because of the type of work it is, the type of building it is. It's you know, with very small sort of accommodation for the people that are going to be cared for there, and that's quite sad. But alongside that, in Bournemouth, also Bournemouth and Poole College, quite a big building there to provide some teaching facilities for the catering side of the college. And that has lots of difficulties. There's listed buildings that they had to make sure were restored back to the same sort of level of construction as they were before, rather than knock them down and start again, but alongside some very state-of-the-art building structures. So I mean, that's just recently. I know I've gone beyond time, Kier, so we'll probably better go through the presentation again. Do you agree?
That's okay. We don't have anyone waiting in the
waiting
room.
Well,
so
let me explain some. Yeah, let me explain some more projects that I've done personally. We built St Mary's Hospital in Newport. That was my first job as a trainee. I was on that project for 4 years. Finished it in 1990, and that was a lovely big metal building that we built, and everybody was sort of wide-eyed and thinking, "What the hell is that?" But it's still going strong. I've been back there several times on other projects and extending and refurbishing it. So that's been quite enjoyable. And across the road at Parkhurst Prison, I think I've done over 10 projects in Parkhurst Prison, which include refurbishing the cell blocks and refurbishing some of the administration areas as well, installing security systems and the new kitchen block, which is outside the wire. Also did a lot of Tesco work back in the day, probably in about the turn of the century. We were one of the main providers for Tesco in this country. We built a new Tesco's in Petersfield and one in Hove. The one in Hove was quite interesting because part of the car park was on top of an old graveyard, and unfortunately we had to dig down quite a long way, and we had to exhume a lot of bodies and remove them and bury them elsewhere on that particular job. Included also some contaminated land on that one, which is very expensive to get rid of. The Petersfield one I've mentioned, that had contaminated land. We had a bridge. We had to demolish an old abattoir, which had a blood pit. I mean, it's quite gory, but it's just interesting. There was a big listed building in the middle of that as well, which was made of stone. And we had to replace all the stonework there and make a new doctor's surgery out of it. So really varied and interesting work. I suppose I've covered most of the different sectors, including office buildings, industrial units. We built some industrial units over in Freshwater in the shadow of Golden Hill Fort. We also built the fire station in Ryde. So we've been about a little bit on the island. So yeah, it's quite varied in my period at Kier, but I've been there 39 years, so I'd expect to get through quite a few.